Hey, we're live. Alright, we're starting it up here. I got all my Apple devices. I'm gonna get all the alerts to everyone in the chat here in just a second. Let me refresh a couple pages, get a few windows open before we get going. I need to get a certain chat out because YouTube likes to separate live chat and super chat, which is incredibly helpful. Not really. Hey everyone, I hope you get AirPods for your birthday too, Mr. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Wow, that's a mouthful. Okay, we're gonna have one chat for super chat so I don't miss anything. There we go. Beautiful. And good, I think I'm ready. Cool. It is currently late af. You're right, it's late, and that's because it's a Thursday, and that's typically when I do the late streams. Because I want to reach a different part of the world, and I have a lot of announcements to make, so I'll be getting into them in just a second. A lot of news for the channel. Nothing too big, but just stuff we need to go over. Hey Richard, thank you. I'll try to keep up the good work. They should have a white edition for AirPods. Ooh, there you go. A version of AirPods that come in white. How fascinating would that be? Indeed. Did you hear Verizon got rid of the unlimited hotspot? Well, it hasn't... they haven't, sorry, excuse me, gotten rid of it for me because I am still using my hotspot with Verizon Unlimited as we speak. And someone says I've inspired them to start their own YouTube channel very soon. Well, congratulations. Good luck with you. Imagine 24 karat gold AirPods. Oh, man. No. You know what? I'm not going to imagine that because that's too much. I couldn't handle that. That would be insanely expensive. And let me make sure we're loading here. Yep, that looks good. Cool. We're going to wait for everyone to get into the chat room here, and then Mythical Spirits HJ says, "Can I have a free MacBook?" Yes. AirPods edition. Oh, and thoughts on Bixby Voice. I haven't tried it out yet. I'll have to look at that later when I have my hands on a Samsung device. Why don't you use Wi-Fi? Is it not working? Well, in gaming, gaming hacks, out here in the foothills, the Wi-Fi is so bad, the upload is embarrassing to the fact that it takes minutes sometimes to post pictures. So it's essentially useless to try to do anything. I can't upload videos. I can't watch YouTube from this Wi-Fi, and there is no alternative. We don't get Comcast out here. We don't get Xfinity. We don't get any kind of fast broadband internet out here. The best possible is what we have, and Verizon Unlimited is clearly the best alternative I can do for you guys. I wish I could do better. I wish I could provide you guys with faster internet so you could watch all the live streams at HD, but I don't have that. So anyway, Ibtihaj Khan says, "Keep up the great work." Thank you very much for your donation. And keep in mind, those who super chat get to decide what the discussion is about, and you cannot, unfortunately, donate super chats on YouTube mobile if you're on iOS. You have to use the Safari app. So, excuse me, let me talk about that first before we get into questions. I am not doing very well, if you haven't noticed. I'm severely sick. I'm not improving very much, and in the tech videos it's a lot easier to cut out the coughing, and it's not as noticeable that I'm stuffy. But live streams, I don't live streams are harder because, you know, I'm talking and these aren't edited, so it's very difficult for me to stay on top of things. But I'm gonna try. But I hope you don't mind if I keep this live stream a little bit shorter than usual. So we started just a few minutes ago, so I think I want to wrap up this live stream at around 11, but of course I'll give you guys incentive. If someone donates, I don't know, $50 in super chat, then we'll keep going past 11 o'clock. But for the most part, I don't expect anyone to do that. That's fine. But if the conversation's important enough, we'll keep going. Regardless, I'm not feeling well, and the other thing is I'm feeling a tad overworked because this is the first time I'm announcing this. I will be gone from July 1st. Yeah, again, I'm going to be gone from July 1st to July 7th, I think, or possibly 8th. I'll be going to a family reunion trip in San Diego. And because I don't think I want to try to ditch this channel for a week and see what happens, because, of course, this is my job and it's important that you guys get content. So, starting today, I am going to be uploading a video every day, as well as making a video that is scheduled for that week that I am gone. So already the video you're going to watch on July 1st has already been finished. It's already scheduled to upload. I think it's about the Google Pixel. And every day from here on out, I'm going to make one video that comes out the day I made it, and one video that'll come out on a day that I'm gone. That way you guys still get content. But I apologize if there's big leaks or there's big rumors that happen during that time frame, and I don't talk about them. It's because I'm away, so just so you know in advance. But anyway, geez, there's so many emojis in the chat. Either way, there's a lot of things going on in life right now. It's very tough, and yeah, I apologize in advance if you have to watch my videos of me sick this whole week, and then the week after that would be really annoying. So if you want to just unsub from the channel for 2 weeks, I won't blame you. Casey the Human, anyway, I'll get into the, I'm not kind of sick, I am sick, George. Casey Human, I'll talk about the gaming channel if you want. So as of now, there was some backstage drama going on at Tailosive. It's unfortunate. I don't know what part of San Diego, guys, and don't expect me to try to meet anyone down there. It's not because I don't want to meet you, it's just because it's a family reunion. We've been planning for over a year, and we have very specific schedules of where we're going to be every single day. So I won't have my own car down there. I don't get to decide where I go. So I'm not going to have any wiggle room in terms of where I can go in San Diego. So sadly, if you're down there, I apologize. I'm probably not going to be able to see you unless I stumble into you, but that's pretty unlikely. There was some backstage drama on Tailosive Gaming that was just between personal stuff. It wasn't about videos or anything. But that's the specifics of it are going to remain private for a while. But we're talking once again with this guy who we've had drama with, and if you know gaming, you know who I'm talking about. We've resolved it for the most part, so there's no longer hate towards each other, at least from what I can see. But as of now, we don't know if Tailosive Gaming is going to have Xander in the future. It's a mystery right now. He's still kind of deciding after this whole incident, I've been calling it, but we're going to find out, and I'm not going to tell anyone to subscribe to Tailosive Gaming yet, because we don't know when it's going to have content, if it ever will. But I do encourage you guys to check out Tailosive Move Reviews, because that is getting content on a daily basis. I can guarantee you that'll have content for days to come. So check out that channel, because that channel's ready. But I don't have an answer for you for when Tailosive Gaming will have content again. So that's the answer to that. So yeah, there's a lot going on in life right now. The other thing is, one of my lifelong best friends from like childhood, someone I went to like preschool with before I even went to kindergarten, is getting deployed into the Air Force on July 25th. So I'm trying to make enough videos to come out, you know, ahead of time, so you guys will have content while I'm gone. And I'm trying to resolve this big drama situation going on backstage. And I'm also sick, and I'm also trying to spend as much time as I can with this lifelong best friend who's going to be deployed in the Air Force, and likely not gonna come back very often except for occasional visits. So there's a lot going on right now. It's very busy. Anyway, Christian Sigismondi says, I love your channel. Any YouTubers you think clickbait too much or are scummy? Yeah, there's one in particular. I'm trying to remember their name. I feel like if I start describing him, you guys could guess. I guess I could be accused of being a little clickbaity. I think all video thumbnails really are clickbaity. I think, and I don't fault channels for using clickbait, because at the end of the day, that's all really a video thumbnail is. It's trying to entice you into watch it. I guess PewDiePie, I think, is one of the biggest ever. I think one of the reasons he has so many followers is because he's very good at clickbait, you know, putting the right stuff in the thumbnails. And I'm not saying he's a bad YouTuber. I'm not saying that's scummy. I'm subscribed to him. I watch all his videos. I think they're funny. But, there's this one YouTuber in particular who I know. He would do the thumbnail where it's like, Tim Cook let me have the iPhone 8 early, and he would Photoshop himself next to Tim Cook and stuff. You guys probably know who it is. Smart Tech, I don't know, Apple Tech, some generic tech channel name. But, yeah, I don't... The thing about scummy YouTubers that I don't like to watch is I don't keep going back to them. So there's there's not much of a reason for me to memorize their names. There's a lot of female YouTubers who I think take advantage of the fact that they're beautiful and put that in the thumbnail. I think that's a little scummy. But Oobla Tater? I don't know how to pronounce your name, but thank you for your donation. Yeah, Tech Smart, I think is that who it is. Yeah. That makes sense. I don't know his name because I don't watch his videos, but I've stumbled onto them a few times and been like, oh my gosh, but yeah, not my favorite. Any other YouTubers I watch that use clickbait? Well, like I said, to a certain extent we all do, but there's some who definitely go a little bit over the edge. Anyway, Grady Bogger, I don't know how to pronounce your name, says, love your vids. Are you going to buy the iPhone 8? Well, thank you for your donation. Yes, it is a given buy now, and I've actually thought about trying to save some money for the iMac Pro, which I would really like to buy for you guys to review, because I think that's a big product from Apple that's kind of revolutionary, kind of one of a kind, and it's, of course, a lot of money, so I'm saving for that. And I'm using a 128 gigabyte iPhone right now, and I had a 256 with the matte black, but when I got jet black, I cut that in half to 128. I'm not having a problem filling that up because I'm vlogging just as much, but with Verizon Unlimited, I don't need to download as much. Like, with Apple Music, I listen to everything on cell data now. I don't need to download every single album like I used to, because wherever I go, I have an internet connection. Typically, there's a few exceptions, but for the most part. So I'm thinking now that when I get the iPhone 8 Grady, I might not get the maxed out memory storage configuration, whether it be 256 or whether it be 512. I don't know what it's going to be, but I don't think I'll need the biggest one. Like, I don't think I'd get 64 gigabytes, though. I think that's a little too low. Like, I could fill that up quick. But 128 would be fine. And if it saves some money, I'll go for that. Aaron Cunningham says, I can't stand TechSmart either. Here's to that. Well, thank you, Aaron. I don't mean to call out on YouTubers, but you asked. But, excuse me. He has an audience. Obviously, we all know who he is. So, clearly, there's something to him that people find interesting, so he has a certain audience. I'm not part of it, but I don't mean to send hate his way. If you get $100 from every live stream in 6 months, you'll have $5 grand. That's great, but yeah, just keep in mind we have a lot more expenses to pay for, because I've got car insurance, I've got health insurance, I've got rent. Excuse me, I've got gas money. I've got to spend money on the iPhone edition. I've had to purchase the latest iPad. I had to purchase, well, I'm going to have to purchase the Apple Watch. I'm going to buy the HomePod to review. Someone was asking if I'm going to review the HomePod. Yes, I am. So, yes, technically there may be a total amount of $5 grand in revenue over the next 6 months. The difference is, will the expenditures allow for me to spend $5 grand when I get to the end of the year? We'll find out. Christian Alvey says, FYI, Comcast and Xfinity are the same thing. I love the channels, and I've been watching for a while, but I hardly comment, so this is my first super chat. Well, welcome, Christian, and thank you very much. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know Comcast and Xfinity are the same thing. I misspoke. And I don't know that much about it anyway because we don't have it out here. Anyway, getting the OnePlus 5, similar to the iPhone 7 Plus. Mario Cortina has Max. No, I'm not getting the OnePlus 5 because I know exactly what I'll think of it. And overall, if you haven't seen my impressions on the OnePlus 5 video, I'll repeat them for you here. The fact is, I don't understand what they're going for, because clearly it is a blatant and obvious copy of what the iPhone 7 looks like. It's almost to the point where it's a very sophisticated company that's really, really special in just replicating the iPhone and selling it at a cheaper price. It's essentially just, I don't know what you call that in the business world, but there's a name for it. It's just an undercut. It's just so obvious that they didn't think of any particular answer for it. They couldn't think of something original for themselves, so they just decide to make something cheaper that isn't as good but looks exactly the same. But the thing is, people who buy the iPhone buy it because of the software and the ecosystem in the Apple Watch, AirPods. That's why we buy the iPhone. So to say that you can just make a smartphone that looks like an iPhone, so obviously, it's not that hard to make your phone look a tad more original. You know, you can just swap the flash and the camera placement and it looks different. Because at the end of the day, all smartphones really look the same. Come on, there's a camera on the back, it's a rectangle, it's got rounded edges, there's a big display on the front. They're all kind of following the same formula. But the fact that OnePlus 5 follows it so precisely, you can't look at that and assume that they thought of that themselves. The iPhone's been out for 9 months. They know exactly what they're doing. And if you're going to make a cheap Android smartphone, I'm just suggesting that you make it your own. Don't try to steal Apple's customers, because that's not going to work. And don't expect me to buy it and review it, because it's not that impressive as a smartphone. It's a crappier iPhone 7. And I've been using an iPhone 7 for 8 months now. I've had one for a while. I don't need a crappier version of it. That especially runs Android, which is the biggest problem with it, and that's the reason Apple sheep aren't going to switch to it. So no. Sorry to burst your bubble, Mario, but we currently don't have the money to review the OnePlus 5. Ibtihaj says, what TV shows do you watch? Are you into Game of Thrones? Well, thank you for your donation. I don't watch that many TV shows. My variety is extremely limited because I don't have much free time at all, actually, to watch movies or TV shows. I don't have a lot of free time. All of it's spent working. But what I do routinely go back to is The Office and Parks and Rec. And clearly this isn't a movie review channel, which we have. And if you want to hear more about what kind of TV shows we like, you should watch Tailosive Movie Reviews, which is a very active channel, and I encourage you guys to subscribe to that. I want to get my friend Dan over there to 1,000 subs. Let's get him there, because he's trying very hard, and I think he's doing a good job. I do not watch Game of Thrones. I apologize. Anyway, Christian Sigismondi donated. I apologize. That's probably not how you pronounce it, but thank you for your donation. Captain Kirk says, hey again, loving your videos, bro. Keep it up. Thank you, Captain. I appreciate that. And hey, Los Santos Rescue Division is our mod in the chat tonight. Thank you for tuning in, Los Santos. Let's see, if we're out of super chats, I'll go to the regular chat. Have you ever repaired a broken iPhone screen yourself? I broke my iPhone 6s Plus screen, and I just ordered the parts to repair it. That's a good question, Dynamic Duo. I don't think I've talked about that. I have not dropped an iPhone ever. That's not true. I have not dropped an iPhone and broken the screen. That has never happened. I have dropped an iPod Touch. Back, my first iOS device ever, one just like this, an iPod Touch 4th generation, except it was black. This is a white one. Was my only, like, iPod. It was my one Apple product, and I was doing something really stupid in middle school, and I was like, oh, that's right, I dropped an iPhone and live life. But it didn't crack the screen, yeah. Thank you, Scott. I corrected that. Jesus is in the mod too. Congrats. Thank you for joining us. Jesus or Jesus, I don't know. But, sorry, excuse me. I was trying to mount this on like a windowsill so I could watch it and not have to hold it. Really dumb. I was in middle school. I didn't know what I was thinking. It slipped, obviously, hit the ground and shattered. And that, yes, I actually fixed myself. I replaced the glass, and I don't know what happened to that iPod. I think I gave it to a friend, and then they lost it or something. This isn't that same iPod. But I really wish I could find it again, because I have the case for it, but I don't know where the actual iPod itself went. I think I gave it to a friend and they lost it or something. But that's the one time I've broken an iPhone screen. But see, he was asking, Dynamic or whoever it was asking about, have I ever repaired a phone? So to answer your question, not a phone, but yes, an iOS device I've cracked. But I have dropped iPhones in the past, but I have not cracked their screens. Dev, thank you for your super chat, says, is the 12-inch MacBook a safe buy for someone who doesn't need power on the go, or should I wait for a model with one USB-C ports? Well, let me see. I'm trying to figure out if that was a typo, because the 12-inch MacBook does have one USB-C port. But if you're not a person who needs power on the go, then yeah, definitely. I have said time and time again that I wish I could have the power that this MacBook has in a 12-inch MacBook, because I don't like this size. This is too big for me. I only got the MacBook Pro 15-inch because I wanted the dedicated GPU and I wanted the quad core and the 16 gigs of RAM. I wanted something that was pretty powerful. And the 12-inch MacBook, design-wise, steals the show for me. I think that's one of the lightest, most comfortable laptops I've ever used in my life. And it felt really sad sending that thing back when I reviewed it. And I had to at the time. I couldn't keep it. But I really loved that thing. It was so portable, and I could just throw it in my backpack, and it didn't even feel like there was any weight to it. It was so simple to just carry around. And I really do miss that thing. And if it had the power to edit the videos I needed to edit, which it probably remotely does, but maybe not long term, I definitely wish I could go back to that thing. And that they would add a Touch ID and Touch Bar. I would miss that, because that's great on here. But yeah, that's, if you don't need power on the go, definitely 12-inch MacBook is my favorite MacBook design ever, honestly. It's so close to being my perfect laptop, which would be one other USB-C port on the side. So there's two USB-C ports, no headphone jack. Add a touch bar and a fingerprint reader onto the top instead of the function keys. And man, that'd be perfect. Just add some beefier specs, I guess. Put the A10X chip in it, it's faster. Jason Wiltger says, do you wish that Apple would create a VR headset? Sorry, excuse me. Jason, not really. I think VR, I might need to talk about VR again. I haven't talked about it in a while, but I think we are not ready for VR personally. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves with it. And I think the reason Apple is supporting VR in the newer iMac upgrades is because they want to know that they can hold up to the competition. It's not necessarily because they believe we're ready for VR. Well, look, there's two big issues with VR right now, and they're not getting addressed. One is movement. Okay, there's a crucial part of any gameplay or interaction when you're using a program, and that is walking around in the game. You know, being able to duck, lay down, crawl, crouch, and run. All that is very limited in VR, and the replacements we have for VR is just to kind of teleport, which isn't as good. That's okay, but it's not as fluid, and I don't think it's actually as immersive to just be looking at places and to keep clicking and just saying, okay, go here, go here. Now, I don't think that's the same as what we have with keyboard and mouse or controller gaming. And the other thing is feedback. You know, when you're interacting within a VR game, there's the big problem of if you're in a sword fight and your opponent is swinging a sword at you, there's no physical action that stops your arm from moving. As in, when you want to grab something in VR, you can ghost. You can just go right through it. And we haven't figured out cheap or efficient ways to answer these problems. Of course, there's really, really advanced ways of fixing these problems, like making that infinite, what do you call it, treadmill runner that you can run in every direction. But those don't even let you crawl or let you crouch. You can only run. So those are already not as, they don't give you as much freedom as just a keyboard and mouse. As well as physical feedback things, we have power gloves and stuff like that. But again, how do you get your whole arm to stop if you're in a sword fight, or if something jumps on you, you can just stand there and nothing will happen. These are key parts of gameplay that aren't really possible in VR, no matter how good our graphics get and no matter how good our wireless technology gets. The problem when you're implementing such a massive technology such as VR is the more immersive you want to make it, the more complicated installing it becomes. And I think that's the big issue with VR, is it's not quite immersive because of those two big problems, which is physical feedback and movement. And the only ways to solve those two big problems is to spend a lot of money, which makes installation and making it available to the consumers more complicated, because VR already is kind of difficult for consumers to get their hands on, given it requires a lot of money and it requires very powerful computers. So I should probably make a video about VR. I'll probably upload one while I'm on my trip. Anyway, we got lots of super chats to get to. But no, I don't think we're ready for VR headsets. Hans Peter Braun says, I love your videos and feel a bit guilty for using an ad blocker. So here's my contribution to the further development of your channel. Well, thank you, Oz. I appreciate that donation. Just, if you don't watch Tailosive Talks, where I do an episode on Hello World about ad block, I encourage you to watch that. Because like I said in that video, I can't stop you from using ad block. I'm with you. Ads are annoying. Just keep in mind, you're not just hurting me when you watch ad block. And again, you're compensating with a donation, which I appreciate. That's great. But keep in mind that half of the monetization that we make on YouTube goes to YouTube itself, not just me. So when you're using ad block, it's hurting YouTube as a whole site. But again, I appreciate your donation, and I hope you can consider that. But again, it's your choice. I'm not mad at you. Hey Zeus, $30 donation. Thank you so much. Excuse me, sorry. Just showing support. Oh, and how's your challenge with Louise coming along? The June activity challenge where you try to close your rings every day of June. Thank you for remembering. Right before I started this live stream, I closed all 3 of my activity rings today. So all my stand, exercise, and move. And I just noticed that Louise is in the chat, my ever so beautiful girlfriend, who says, oh my gosh, you're my favorite YouTuber, keep it up. You're my favorite fan, Louise, and you should get to bed because you have work early in the morning. But thanks for watching. I love you, Louise. Anyway, yeah, it's been going great. I haven't missed a day yet. Excuse me. I have closed all my rings every day of June, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get that achievement at the end of the month. I'm excited. So, hey, Zeus, thank you for your massive donation. Thank you. Mario Cortinez, is MacBook Pro 13-inch 2015 or 12-inch iPad Pro? Let me think. Always buy the newer thing. If we're talking about this year's 12-inch iPad Pro, definitely go with that, because I'm never going to recommend you to buy an older version of something, because that means you're going to have to replace it much, much sooner. Okay? I'm never going to recommend something older, alright? I might recommend things that are refurbished. Like if you buy a certified refurbished Apple Watch or a refurbished Apple TV, that's cheaper, but it would still be modern and it would still hold up and last just as long as any other brand new Apple product. But it would save you money. Do you guys live in Australia? No, we both live here. I just saw my darling girlfriend yesterday. We had a good date. Does the new iPad Pro have 3D Touch? No, it doesn't, and it really should. Or at least it should have a, excuse me, an option so that the Apple Pencil, which is pressure sensitive, could activate when you press harder on the display, and that would activate 3D Touch on the iPad. I don't know why they don't do that. That could be done in a software update. Would you, Full-Time Apple Sheep says, would you rather have the iMac Pro or HomePod early? Well, both of those, if in this scenario both options are free, the iMac Pro. I'll wait on the HomePod. I'm not terribly excited for it. I think it's cool that Apple's a brand new product line is finally opening up. We haven't had that since the Apple Watch, and I think it's going to be a cool product. I'm very excited to hear it in person, but no, definitely more excited for the iMac Pro. I think that's far more groundbreaking, that Apple is putting just so much power into one device. That's far more impressive to me. So Anywho, I would take the iMac Pro any day. You know, I could get a maxed out iMac Pro and sell it and have 50 HomePods. So, anyway, what will you do if you didn't have a YouTube account? Well, Daniel, I worked a lot at the Mansion Ranch, and while I was there, my boss often wanted me to, he often asked if I wanted to take over the ranch because he was nearing retirement, and I wasn't interested in that. But if YouTube didn't exist, maybe that'd be something I'd pursue, because I'm pretty good at it, and I was getting it down, how to drive a tractor, how to drive a forklift, and how to plant the trees, how to fertilize them. I was getting pretty good at that. So I would probably want to take over the Mandarin Ranch before I would want to go back to college, because I really didn't like college. So it's hard to say. I think if YouTube didn't exist, I would have a very different life, but I might never know what exactly I could have done, but we'll see. Well, we won't see, hopefully. YouTube's going to stay here, and I'm going to keep doing that. Jason, donate again, says, what do you think the AirPods 2 will improve? Well, first of all, we thought there was going to be an Apple Pencil refresh. That thing's really old, and they haven't refreshed that yet. It's coming up on 2 years old now. So, personally, I don't think they're going to refresh AirPods. There's been some patents for what they're going to do with AirPods in the future, but I don't think we're going to see a second generation of AirPods this year. If anything, which I can only hope, I would hope that Apple would start making different colors of AirPods. I don't know if they'll actually make different kinds of AirPods, like AirPods Series 2, which I talked about. It'd be great if they did come in different colors. These are cool, by the way. No, the ranch, guys, the ranch was not a cash cow. It was a pretty small ranch. There was a total of 5 to 10 employees at a time. It would not have been like a ton of money. It would have been a lot of work with some payoff and a lot of risk involved in the process. I'm glad to be doing YouTube. That comes first to me. But AirPods 2, what can you improve, really? You can improve sound quality. You can include Bluetooth 5.0, but it worries me that Apple, excuse me, Apple isn't prioritizing that. Like, excuse me, they're not putting Bluetooth 5.0 in the iMac Pro, and that kind of disappoints me, because I feel like if it's a pro device, it should have the next generation of Bluetooth. I really hope they put 5.0. They didn't put it in the new iPads. I wish they put Bluetooth 5.0 in the new iPhone. I really hope so. But if not Bluetooth 5.0, just a redesigned W1 chip, the W2 chip, I don't know, it's just faster. It can deliver better audio quality and then make battery life better on the AirPods, I guess. Just different colors and just the basic improvements. There was one patent I think I talked about that they're talking about letting the AirPods case wirelessly charge other devices you may own, which I thought was interesting, and that might have a lot of potential in the future. But the problem is the battery in the AirPods case is so small, whatever it would charge, it would be very, very little. So, oh, excuse me. I'm not sure. I talked about it. They already did with iOS 11 some of my ideas for skip and rewind on different AirPods, but still not an easy way of changing volume yet. They could work on that, like to actually make the stem of the AirPod be kind of a trackpad so you can scroll up and down for volume. Not too many improvements. Alright, Tate Dalzell says, have your MacBook Pro 2016 keys ever malfunctioned? Yeah, they have, actually. Not to the point where the computer's been unusable, but yeah, you read about it in the news, I think. There were a couple times where a key would get sticky and you would press it and it would show up twice on the computer, or in other times where you would have to press a little harder on the key for it to show up. But all I did was just kind of press a little bit harder on the sticky keys, wiggle it around a little bit, and it would be fine. It was never like a massive, I need to take this back to the Apple Store. It would be like, I'd be typing something and then there'd be a mistake and I'd be like, huh, that's weird. Then I'd move it around for a couple seconds and then it was perfectly fine. So, so yes, they have malfunctioned, but not to make the computer unusable. I haven't gotten there yet. Oh, excuse me. Which iPad Pro size if you didn't have a MacBook Pro? Um, honestly still really like the 10.5 inch, but it's not necessarily because of the size itself. I just wanted an iPad with a different design. You know, I got the iPad Air, that was my first iPad, and then I got the iPad Pro, which was bigger, but it was the same footprint. They still have the same chin, the same forehead, the same size bezels on the side. The 10.5 inch iPad was finally a redesign where they actually expanded the ratio of display to bezels. And that was a noticeable refresh too, and I really appreciate that. In fact, if they brought that same bezel ratio to the display on the 12.9 inch version, I may have gotten that. I really just wanted a refresh, and if I got that 12.9 inch iPad Pro, it wouldn't have been a noticeable purchase. It wouldn't have been like oh, here's what's different. It would have just been like, well, camera's better and frame rate's better. But this is like a noticeable change. It mixes things up a bit. I don't like to have to buy the same thing over and over again. I want to mix it up a little bit. That's why I buy black pods and sell AirPods. That's why I sell my old matte black iPhone for a jet black iPhone. I like tossing things up. Victor Martinez, thank you for your donation, says, what do you think about Luma Fusion as a pro editing app for the iPad? By the way, keep it up, dude. This is my favorite tech channel and also my first super chat. Well, thank you, Victor. I appreciate that. And yes, I have seen a lot of people ask for a Luma Fusion review, and I think it's a $20 app. It might be cheaper. I can't remember, but I definitely want to try it. The reason I'm not jumping to review it right away is because I've changed editing programs for my channel so many times, and I'm just kind of getting into a formula where I'm using Final Cut Pro pretty regularly, and it's working great for me, so I'm just kind of sticking with that for now. And when I test out a new editing program, I kind of have to edit my own content within it, so I have to decide what videos I'm now going to start editing in that program. So it kind of throws me off a little bit when I start editing with a third party, but Victor, yes, for your donation alone, actually, I think I'm going to start trying out Luma Fusion, especially on the new iPad with all those processor specs. Very fast A10X chip. So yeah, I'm definitely intending on testing that out, and you can expect the video on it for sure, because I've looked at it and I've looked at what it's capable of doing. I'm very curious. It looks like a very professional iOS editing app, and I'd really like to try that out. Yeah. How's your drink? It's okay. It's water. My throat is very tight. It's hard to breathe, and it's actually very frustrating because when I try to sleep, you know, when you lay down, I have coughing fits. So I only got about an hour of sleep last night. That was rough, and it'll probably be the same tonight. And tomorrow morning, I gotta get up early and start mowing lawns before it gets too hot. It's 100 degrees a day right now in Orville. It's insanely hot, and even when we jump in the pool, it's not even cold anymore. Like, the pool is like a hot tub. It's so hot. Goodness. But this water's nice, but wish my throat would clear. What do you use your iPad Pro versus your MacBook Pro? Scott Sullivan, my MacBook Pro is purely for work now. Like, all I use it for is editing, and when I do live streams like this, it helps to have YouTube. For some reason on iOS sucks, but on the desktop they let you have two windows open so that I can see the live chat and the super chat. That way I don't miss anything at the same time. But the iPad Pro is what I do all my reading on, because of the frame rate. It's so beautiful and it's so much more compact. I also record all of the content I produce on my calendar. I have a journal to, you know, let my thoughts fly on my mind, and I like doing that with the Apple Pencil because that's a lot more fluid than just typing. But the MacBook Pro is essentially stuff I use for a powerhouse. When I need exporting, I need editing, when I need to update the 2017 Patreon outro, which I have to do pretty regularly, I do it on here. For gaming, which obviously we don't do that much anymore, but when we did, the MacBook Pro was pretty good at it because I can put Windows 10 on here. it's still on here, and I can run my Steam games on it. But the iPad Pro is great for efficient consumer tech. So on the iPad, I like to read Twitter, I like to text, I like to listen to music, I watch YouTube videos because it's a nice size, but it's also right at the perfect point where I can still hold it comfortably, and it's not a nuisance to carry around and hold, where this thing is pretty massive. Someone just donate twice? Ask the same questions? I wonder if that's a glitch, Dan Miller. Excuse me. Why did Apple not shrink the 12.9 inches iPad Pro bezels like they did with the 10.5? Yeah, Dan, that's a good question. I really don't know. Yeah, Dan, why did you do 2? Did you send it twice? I'm wondering if part of it is because they feel like since the display is bigger, your bezels need to be bigger so that they can your thumbs have more resting space or something like that, but that doesn't really make sense because your thumbs are the same size on the 10.5 inch. I'm really not sure. It probably would be cheaper to keep the form factor in terms of manufacturing, because they do have to assemble it a little bit differently to make room for the flash and the camera, but for the most part, the form factor of the 12.9 is probably the same. So in the manufacturing process, they don't have to change things that much. And it's already kind of confusing for developers to have to redesign their app for a different screen resolution on the 10.5 inch. So if they did it twice, that would be a little bit more confusing. But again, they could have reduced the bezels and kept the same resolution if they just made the form factor of the 12.9 smaller. Yeah, I'm not sure. I really wish they would have. I would have been curious about that. I'd like to see both iPads change, not just one. Excuse me. What Apple laptop would you recommend for a high school student? Well, Taylor, I wouldn't recommend a laptop for a high school student because you don't need a laptop for high school. If you have infinite money, buy whatever you want. But I got through high school writing documents, designing. They were keynotes, but you know them as PowerPoints for like classes, and I wrote on group projects. I did all of that on my iPhone 5. I didn't need a laptop for any of that. The only reason people want a laptop is they like the big keyboard to type on. But then again, you can pair any Bluetooth keyboard to any iPhone. So just keep in mind, you college students and high school students, don't drive yourself in debt over tech. I know I'm an Apple sheep and I spend a lot of money on technology, but if you're in college and you're in high school and you don't have a job and you're just kind of studying, really be careful with how you spend your money, because getting in debt's a nasty place you don't want to end up in. And I've watched too many people back when I was in college buy $1,500 MacBooks for writing essays, which was ridiculous to me because they really didn't need it. And if you want an Apple product that's just you want a bigger display and you want it to be capable, really buy an iPad. An iPad can do almost anything you need to for school. I know because my 12.9-inch iPad Pro got me through all of college. I did all my essays on there. I did the online courses or the online tests and stuff I would do on there. If there's certain websites that require a desktop, download the Puffin browser. The Puffin browser is a great underrated program that tricks websites into thinking your iPad or iPhone, you can even get Puffin on your iPhone, is a desktop, and then you'll get all of those desktop options on your iPad. So I took a lot of Blackboard online tests on my iPad, even though it wasn't a laptop and it's supposed to be designed for a laptop. And I could take notes on the iPad because it's a touchscreen, and you could draw a lot more distinct things with like numbers and charts, opposed to just Google Docs or Apple Pages where you have to type everything out. That gets confusing when you're in a class that has flowcharts and numbers and multiplication and stuff like that. But really just be really careful with how you spend your money. If you're in high school especially, I don't think you need a MacBook. I don't know why. Unless you're talking about something else, like you're looking for, if you're a video editor and you're looking for something video editing and you happen to be in high school, that's fine. That I understand why you'd want a MacBook. And if so, you know, it's, you know how MacBooks work. The more money you put into it, the more you get out of it. 12-inch MacBooks, great design choice. It'll edit light video, but if you want something to edit 1080p at 60 frames a second, or if you want 4K, you'd probably be better off with something a little bigger like a MacBook Pro. Don't buy a MacBook Air. I'm never going to recommend that. If you ever get the chance to join Austin Evans, Jonathan, UAC, and their little crew, would you join them? Asked Zuriel. Well, that's a good question. I haven't thought about that. I don't think I'd be welcome there. You know, I'd love to meet those guys and talk to them, but I feel like they'd look at me as too openly biased, and I'm not really their style. I think they go for more like open-ended, in-depth kind of analysis, try to be fair towards products, and they would know me as the openly admitted Apple sheep who will always choose Apple no matter what, and they wouldn't be interested in having me on as the crew. So I wouldn't expect them to want me to be there. I don't know. How do you pick a random comment? It's very easy. I just pick a random comment. I look at the chat, and whatever one I happen to read is there. Your average YouTuber asks, will they ever redesign the Apple Watch? Which is a good question that I keep asking myself. I don't mind if they don't take that many drastic changes with it, because I love it the way it is. It's not heavy. It's a very light watch. It's very thin. The digital crown and the button on the side is great. They could make it slightly thinner. The only thing I don't want them to change is the watch band adapters. And I'm worried that they're going to do that someday, is that they're going to say, we want a thinner watch, so now we're going to change the watch band adapters, and then all of the money we've invested in all of these watch bands will then be wasted because they won't work on the new Apple Watch. I'm worried about that day, but I'm hoping that Apple delays that a long time away, and hopefully maybe never. Sorry, excuse me. It would be great if Apple just decided that maybe the watch can get thinner, but for the most part, we're just going to keep that watch band adapter on. We're going to leave that there. Why can't we buy an Apple Watch without the band? Well, I've thought about this too, Scott, but there's a couple problems with that. It's implying that you are buying watch bands. If we started buying individual Apple Watches that didn't come with Apple Watch bands, we could technically start having Apple Watches that outnumber the number of bands, which I guess there's no problem with, but it would be kind of ridiculous, because I don't think that the reason the Apple Watch is $400 is because they include the watch bands in it. I think all of the money in that $400 is directly to the watch itself, and I think the watch band they include with your watch is just an added bonus. I don't think the Apple Watch would be any cheaper if you just bought it all on its own. Like, a lot of the Apple Watch doesn't make sense when you think about it. Like, depending on what size Apple Watch you get, the watch bands are still the same price. So if you get a Milanese loop that's, well, maybe not Milanese loop, but if you get a sport band that's 42 and compare it to the price of a 38 millimeter, they're the same price, even though there's less material. So it's like, well, why is it at that price? Why wouldn't the 38 millimeter be cheaper? After all, the 38 millimeter Apple Watch is cheaper. But I've thought about that too, but I ultimately think that when you buy an Apple Watch, you should probably just get a new band to go with it. It's fine. iPad Mini Pro. Yeah, we thought we were going to get that. Apple should definitely release a laptop in the $500 area. I don't think so. I think that would be a bad idea, because what makes Apple MacBooks premium and what makes them Apple is the fact that they go all out. They make sure it's made with the best specs. They make sure that, not the best specs, sorry, the best design choices like aluminum and glass. and they want to make sure it's premium. And if you start cutting all that in half, like I think the 12-inch MacBook was lovely, and I thought that was a beautiful design, but it's really expensive. And if you told Apple to make a laptop with less than half of that budget, they'd have to cut shortcuts, and I think it would stop being really what a MacBook is meant to be, which is a premium, working, efficient laptop. And I think within that $500 price range, you'd get something that is so crappy that it doesn't deserve the MacBook title. How was your camping trip? Asked the Sam RSS. If you go over to Tailosive Talks right now, you can see my vlog about it. I vlogged the whole trip. Why don't you like the MacBook Air? It's because it's supposed to be discontinued. The MacBook Air got a refresh, but no one realized it. It's called the 12-inch MacBook. Everything, when the MacBook Air came out, everything it stood for was removing ports for the sake of portability. That's what the 12-inch MacBook is. They removed all the ports. They made it more portable. It's lighter. It's got the better keyboard. It's got a better display than the MacBook Air. And yet they didn't discontinue the MacBook Air. They're keeping it around just so that they could say MacBooks start at $900. Whereas it's so dated, because the MacBook Air, I think, is one of the only Apple products that doesn't have a Retina display. It keeps around USB ports, which Apple's trying to phase out, but they keep it out on there. It has aluminum bezels, not the black kind, and I think that looks ugly. It has the old-style trackpad, the old-style keyboard. The bezels on the MacBook Air are huge, by the way, and it's just, I think it's done its time. It's time for us to move on from that. Anyway, it's been getting a little late, guys, so if you have any final donations or super chats, now's the time. Can you make me mood, please? Oh, message retracted. Oh, for guys, the rules are, if you want to be a moderator, all you got to do is donate $20 and ask specifically, please make me a mod. That's how we pick out mods. Yeah, Cameron, I see the questions about the S8 Bixby coming out, but listen, I don't have the Galaxy S8 anymore. I don't know if you guys missed that bit of information. I can't keep it. I used it for a while. There was a live stream where I said if we reached a certain number in Super Chat that I would use it as my flagship, as my driver every day. And I did for that period of time, which we agreed on, which was a week. And after that, I was done with it. The S8 just kept getting worse and worse, and I couldn't use it, so it eventually just became this really expensive phone that just sat on a table. So I can't experiment with Bixby right now. I'll probably have to review stuff like the Note 8. Oh god, I just had to start thinking about that. But regardless, are you doing pay to be a mod now, Hank? But well, Hank Hill, you've been around forever. That's why you're a mod. But there's not a better way to filter people other than people in the chat just saying, "You should trust me." Like you gotta put money where your mouth is. Be like, "You should trust me. Here's how much you should trust me." That's how I know you're serious about it. If you're just saying, "I want to," then it's hard to filter out. Everyone would type that. Talos, do you want an iPod Touch to come out? No, iPod Touches are dead. I'm drinking water. I'm still very sick. Do I give a donation? Use Safari. Use a web browser. iOS and watchOS Beta 2 thoughts? Well, I've got iOS 11 Beta 2 on my iPad. I haven't noticed any changes. It runs fine. I didn't get a lot of bugs on the first beta that everyone talked about. There was a couple bugs, but it's been running fine. I'm not interested in doing what everything Apple Pro does, where he walks through in every video every single tiny little change that is made with every iOS update, because I don't think people care about that. I think they care about the big picture stuff, like the multitasking thing. I made a video on that because I think it's confusing, and it's a learning curve. So I want everyone to understand how you use your iPad differently with iOS 11. Kind of like back when iOS 10 came out, I thought everyone needs to know that slide to unlock is going away. Like, that's a big deal. But when we go into top 100 features that were changed, I don't think it's that interesting. I know that some people out there obviously find it interesting, but I'm not going for that audience. And specifically, I kind of personally don't care. Like when we go into iOS 11 and find out that when you're in the camera app, instead of having live and HDR side by side, now they're on top of each other. Whatever. Just go over the highlights and we'll figure out the little changes on our own. Like, for instance, one change I noticed in Beta 2 is that when you're in photos, the edit button used to be a bunch of lines with circles, and now it's just the word edit. I'm not going to make a video about that. That's boring, and you guys can figure that out for yourself. It's not something you guys need to know, and it's something that you'll all figure out when the program comes out. And a lot of people can't get the betas yet, obviously. They have to wait till the fall. So it's kind of pointless to be going over every single beta, because the iOS 11 that's unveiled in the fall might be totally different than the betas we're testing. So what's the long-term purpose of showing you guys how all these individual betas work when they could change again and again? It's cheap watch time. When will we get 4K to 1080p and FPS changes in the camera app? Yeah, Sir jumps a lot. I don't know why we can't do that. Maybe that'll be an iOS 12 thing. I found iOS 11 to be surprising. Like, a lot of it was user-friendly and functional changes that I was like, thank you. Yes, we needed that. So maybe with iOS 12 it'll be that again. It'll be like, thank you, we finally get those things. Like a screen recorder. Didn't see that coming at all, but we got it, and that was nice. Ooh. Do you like the stainless steel frame and glass on the iPhone edition? Yeah. I'm loving the jet black iPhone 7 Plus and the idea of a the stainless steel edges that are painted the same way like an Apple Watch with the stainless steel build is, with the glass on the front and back. I think that would look great. Yeah, I'd love to see that. Would you delete your channel if you could own every Apple product ever made and are still in mint condition in their boxes and sealed? Wow. Well, if I delete it, can I start it back up again? You didn't say I can't go back. Yeah, I would actually... Sure, I would do that, because I would delete the channel and then make another one called Tailosive Tech, and I would just tweet to everyone on Twitter, hey, channel got deleted, here's the new channel, and just ask everyone to subscribe again. And I would probably not get all of those subscribers back, but I would get a majority of them back. Everything Apple Pro recently said that everything we know about the iPhone 8 is false. The design will be different and Touch ID on the back. Thoughts? Yeah, I saw that video. I don't believe that awkward looking Chinese model one. I think that's Apple's attempt at covering up the hype, because personally, that design they are leaking doesn't look like something Apple would go with. It doesn't look elegant, and it doesn't, like, I don't get why Apple would keep part of a chin at the bottom. It's really hard to explain this, but I feel like because we've been buying so many Apple products for so long, I kind of know Johnny Ive's design ideas pretty well. That's not something he would design. The jet black iPhone 7 Plus, I think, is really close to what Johnny Ive's ideal phone is, because his idea is a single sheet of glass. They wanted to give it that jet coat of aluminum to make it look like a, feel like glass on the front and back. Even though the jet black iPhone 7 is not glass, it feels like it. And that's like, this is a beautiful phone. I can't show it to you because I'm live streaming with it, but that is a beautiful design. It's clean, it's fresh, the bezels blend in with the display. It's wonderful. But that new Chinese mock-up, obviously someone put a lot of work into it, but I don't think that such a sophisticated, finished Apple iPhone would make it out of Foxconn. I think they're locking that down so far. It makes sense to me that we are only seeing videos and 3D models of the dummy model, like Van Gesken leaked, that actually has glass on both sides, and it's a very clean look with the vertical camera. And the camera bulge contains the flash, both cameras, and the microphone all in one spot, not all separated. And the display is very edge to edge on the front, just with that little HUD on the top. That looks like something Johnny Ive would make. And that Chinese mock-up one that he was talking about, that doesn't look like something Johnny Ive would make. I really don't think they would do that. So, I wouldn't worry about that. I don't think that's it. If it is, I'll be certainly disappointed. I guess we'll all be, but I'll defend it still. I'm sure that it's not going to look like that. It won't look that ugly, hopefully. Is it possible for your GPS, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi signal to break your iPhone? I think it happened to me. Zarel, I've never heard of that. So I'm gonna say no. Yo, shout out please, and I'm getting the 12-inch MacBook. Can I edit 1080p on it? Thanks, I'm a very loyal fan to all of your channels. Thank you, Simply Tech. And yeah, 1080p editing on the 12-inch MacBook is gonna be fine, as long as you're using Final Cut Pro. If you're using Adobe Premiere, you're gonna have a hard time. That's what I used on the 12-inch MacBook. Not the greatest experience. Do you have any plans to get your own place or overhaul your room into a state-of-the-art studio? There's not too much I can do with my room because I'm in an attic. This isn't really a room. And I'm still on the fence, like I don't know if I'm moving out soon or if I'm going to be here for another year. So that's why I don't want to do anything with this room in particular, like overhaul it. And I think for the most part my channel is pretty okay with my setup. Obviously everyone I think would be interested in a redesign, but I don't think I think it's a lot of money that I wouldn't get a lot out of, is what I'm saying basically. It would be cool, but it only relatively refreshes the channel. Everyone just kind of goes, oh, that's neat, and I don't get much out of it other than just a fresh new look. But when I move out, definitely I'm gonna make some changes to my setup. Clearly I'll have to, but there'll be some noticeable changes, and I don't know where I'm gonna be in a year or two. There's a lot of variables I don't know yet, so we'll see. It's definitely not gonna be like this forever though, or will it? That'd be funny if it did. What do you think about all the new iPhone 8 leaks? Well, I'll be talking about the iPhone 8 later. It'll be one of the scheduled videos, or it might not be for when I'm gone, but anyway. It's... How many times do I need to talk about it? God, we had several weeks where it was like the only kind of video I would upload would just be iPhone 8 rumors, and it gets old. The reason I haven't made a new video on it in a while is because there's not new news. There isn't some new breakthrough we've discovered, other than those stupid mock-ups, which again, I don't think that's it. I think that's a lie. That either Apple is trying to leak on purpose to cause confusion in the media, or a Chinese company's doing it for attention. One of those things. I don't know what it is, but... Anyway, we've come up on just about an hour, guys. I apologize if you didn't get your question answered some of the time. There's just too much, and I can't go through it all. But I'm just... So all of you know, I am enslaving myself to trying to get you guys daily content. It's a lot harder than it looks. I have some... I have an intern who shall remain nameless for now, who's going to be working on trying to edit videos for me, and he's hopefully going to be hired if he does a good job. We'll see. I'm not going to say who it is, but someone approached me on Twitter and asked if he could edit my videos for me, and I said sure, I'd love to see someone else's take on it. So that might be happening, and that would take a lot of pressure off me. It could give me a lot more of a chance to work on my other channels that need attention, like Tailosive Movie Reviews, which has a whole lot of Dan the Movie Man, but it needs more Apple Sheep over there. But either way, thank you guys for watching this one. I'm gonna try to get some rest. Probably won't though, because every time I lay down I have a coughing fit. But yeah, wish me luck, you guys, because I'm gonna need it. I've got a lot of work to do tomorrow, and hopefully I can finish all the videos I need to, so that when I'm on my week-long trip in San Diego in July, you guys won't miss out on anything. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all your donations, and I will see you guys in the next one. Good night, everybody. Take care.